These are the top tech tools for personalized learning, geared for grades 7 through 12. Actively Learn is a platform for interactive reading and writing. It has a lot of high-interest articles and knowledge sets. It is often compared to Newsela, but their questions are linked to standards, have depth of knowledge levels associated with them. They have writing logs, so a lot of interactive mastery-based writing as well as records of that writing. They have lists of what the kids are doing and which standards they are mastering. Actively Learn has a large selection of texts, including short stories and novels, and text sets to accompany themes in novels. All of their questions are aligned to standards, and you can also customize them and add anything else that you would like, as well as uploading text that you would like kids to read as well. The short answer questions employ critical thinking skills and can inspire class conversation, so kids can reply to each other. There's a lot of differentiation. The grading progress dashboard has a lot of information, and teachers can co-author and share resources. However, a lot of the tools are limited if you don't have a paid subscription, including being able to co-author with other teachers. It is difficult to manage mastery-based feedback in real time. So if you're trying to give a student feedback on something they've written and they can't move on until they get that feedback from you, that can hinder their progress. You can change that, but if that's something you're trying to do, you'd have to time that well. And when this is compared to Newsela, the fact that you can't change the Lexile level is often brought up. Although there is the differentiation with translations and definitions and read aloud and all that good stuff. Actively Learn facilitates and supports personalized learning because it is mastery based. It is aligned with standards, and it lets the teacher know how the kids are progressing through those standards. They can read the text and respond to the text at their own pace. And then there are multiple pathways in the sense that you could have 3 different kids reading 3 different articles and demonstrating the three different standards. So there's a lot of different ways kids can demonstrate mastery, and they can choose to do that through a lot of different reading and writing text sources. Pear Deck is interactive Google Slides. And this is what my presentation looks like in Pear Deck. On the left, you can see the different types of questions you can enter into your slide deck. And then over here in the middle on the right, these are some of the pre-made slides. And like Nearpod, you can see all of the student interactions and answers on your teacher dashboard. Pear Deck is really user-friendly, and you can add these questions right into your Google Slides, and it is a formative assessment as you're using it. I really like the anonymous sharing. When I have models that students are writing that are really good, I can put those up on the board. The Vocabulary Builder is a new tool that I haven't used yet, and it looks really cool. Kids can create flashcards with a team, and then the teacher approves these flashcards, and then they get exported to Quizlet to study from. And it is user-friendly, and there are so many different types of questions you can put in. And there's no doubt that this increases student engagement, because when everybody is answering the same prompt and there's a possibility the teacher might put your answer up on the board anonymously, kids are more likely to share that information. The fact that Pear Deck is geared toward whole class instruction is not a weakness toward Pear Deck, it's just a weakness in regard to personalized learning. So this is geared toward instructing entire class at the same time. There are some premium plan limitations. There are certain questions you can't embed unless you have the premium plan. And then the vocabulary activity looks awesome, but it's an activity that I can't see myself using for personalized learning. It's something that looks really cool and really fun, but I don't know that I could align it with something for the whole class. Despite those weaknesses, I really think that Pear Deck could be a mastery-based assessment. If kids all started together, like in a mini lesson, and then as the Pear Deck continued, kids could be sent to different activities or different choices depending on their responses in the Pear Deck. So it has the potential to, be that formative assessment that allows for multiple paths, or a tool that allows for mastery. I've used it before where kids are writing and then revising in real time. And then the content is flexible in regard to what you're putting there, in regard to how the kids are answering, but really this is more of a mastery-based formative assessment that allows for multiple paths. I love Google Classroom. Google Classroom allows me to organize my classes in a learning management system that works for me. It has more strengths than I can list here. The fact that you can attach assignments that can be individual or collaborative. You can attach and link pretty much any resource you could think of. You can do discussion questions that can be private or whole class. You can have class comments and announcements, teacher-led or student-led. The private comment feature allows for feedback and student questions that they don't want publicly seen, and they go straight to your Gmail as well. And then you can individualize assignments. You can send an assignment to 1 kid, to 5 kids, to the whole class. Some people aren't a fan of the organization of assignments. The newsfeed can get pretty cluttered, although now they have a labeling feature. And then I use Alice Keeler's hashtag system to help organize the assignments, but some people find the assignment feed to be pretty cluttered. Once a student turns in an assignment, they lose access to it. And so, especially through a personalized learning lens, this is tough because if a kid can't take feedback and apply it right away because their assignment is uneditable because I own it, that puts a pause in their learning. So I have to return the assignment before a student can continue to edit it. So a lot of times I'll just assign something but not have kids turn it in formally just so that they can continue to edit it. And so that affects the grading efficiency, not only in regard to due dates or turning things in on time, but also just having to go from opening the assignment and then back over to the list of kids to put in their grade. It's just, some of that is a little clunky in regard to grading. How Google Classroom facilitates and supports personalized learning is pretty limitless, but you certainly have flexible content. You can put a lot of different pathways and information onto the same learning management system. And you can give kids a lot of different ways to access the information and a lot of different choices on how they do that. And it's just a place where you can go and find all the ways that they've demonstrated their learning, which means you could make that mastery based as well. So as kids are submitting assignments, you can give them a chance to resubmit them. We also use mastery based through feedback loops. And so this is also Alice Keeler, but so kids use private comments to write a paragraph, and then I'm responding in private comments by giving them feedback. And that's the whole assignment, is just a back and forth in regard to their writing and improving it. Flipgrid was the one I started using this year, and I just absolutely fell in love with it. These video responses and discussion boards are just really cool. Flipgrid gives a voice to every student in the classroom, and it allows for a lot of different types of discussion. Collaboration can happen across classes, schools, teachers. In my class, kids were collaborating about their Genius Hour projects, and I'm looking forward to collaborating with other classes, whether it be in my school or somewhere else in the world. The kids can video live, or they can pre-record and then upload later, which means they can also showcase work that they have created. It's really easy to use, and it's free. As of June, Flipgrid and Microsoft teamed up, and Flipgrid is now free for all educators. They'll even prorate anything that you've spent on Flipgrid in the last year. I had a hard time finding weaknesses for Flipgrid. I'm still brainstorming and trying to think if I can come up with one. The safety concerns and content concerns, I feel like they've addressed them pretty well. For me, the content was just in regard to when the kids got really excited with Flipgrid, they were responding and using Flipgrid all the time, which was awesome, but it was impossible for me to keep up with every single video, so then I wasn't always 100% sure with what they were putting out there. So a better system of checks and balances on that, or maybe I'd have to limit them on how much they use it, but I don't know if that's a weakness or not, but I did have a hard time coming up with weaknesses for Flipgrid because I'm so in love with it right now. And Flipgrid is authentic. As the kids put themselves out there, they've got an authentic audience that's interacting with them. And it can be mastery based. I haven't tried this out yet, but you can attach rubrics to videos and then give feedback based on that rubric. So I can film myself giving them feedback privately, and then I can also fill out the rubric and then allow them to resubmit depending on what the assignment was. And this last one is limited only by your imagination because it is a website. Google Sites Website Builder. This is so user-friendly and allows you to embed so many different types of things. Here I have 2 Google documents. Every time I edit one of these documents, it's going to change in real time on the website. So if you think about that in regard to Google Slides or Google Documents, and if you have a group of kids working on it at the same time, that's always updating and always changing on that website. So like I said, you can embed anything Google, but also YouTube, websites, and a lot of different things are easily embeddable, as well as images and drawings. Kids can collaborate on the same website at the same time, or they can collaborate on documents that are embedded in the website. And the publishing opportunities are pretty limitless. You could publish as an individual student, but you could also use it as a teacher to showcase student work for parents. It's so user-friendly, and then it really is a blank canvas. It could be a wiki, a digital portfolio, a newsletter. It can house resources like a blend space. So this really has a lot of potential to do a lot of different things. Google Sites is limited in its editing accessibility. We could not edit it on iPads, and as a one-to-one school using iPads, that was a little tricky. Once the websites were set up on desktops, they could edit the documents and things that were in them, but the kids wanted to make them awesome, and they needed to be on a desktop to do that. Also, in appearance limits, there are 6 themes in Google Sites, and you can't deviate from them. You can play with the colors a little bit, but not the fonts. And then there's no discussion board or blog feature in the setup of Google Sites. However, we did come up with a workaround where you could set up a Google form on your website, and then right next to it, have it attached to a spreadsheet. So every time someone fills out a comment through my Google form, it shows up on the spreadsheet. But it's still not a traditional discussion board or blog comment feature. The fact that this can be published makes it authentic. You know, the kids have an authentic audience. It's out there, whether it's protected by the school's domain or it's shared to their parents. You know, it has the potential to be seen and interacted with in regard to other people. In regard to flexible content, this would be in using it like a blend space. You know, you could give and also multiple paths. You could give a lot of different information on a website and then leave it as a resource for kids as they're demonstrating mastery. And then mastery based, I used it as a home base for Genius Hour. So as kids were completing different aspects of Genius Hour and submitting it for feedback, they would fill out Google Forms found in the website, and then that would generate to a point spreadsheet that let me know just that where they were, like what they had done. And in the future, I want to update it so that I know to give them feedback. So there's some quirks with that, but it has a potential to be this mastery-based feedback loop or a learning management system to help give that feedback and just to know who needs feedback at any given time. Every year, I strive to make my classroom just a little more personalized, and these tools that I've highlighted really complement each other to help me achieve that goal. Google Sites and Google Classroom really give me a place to house resources, to create a home base for my students, no matter what it is that they are working on. They know they can go to Google Classroom to find the resources or the Google site that they need to complete assignments or check in with me. Not only do kids create their own Google Sites in my classes, they interact with each other's Google Sites. So they are constantly asked to visit each other's, give feedback, comment, and interact with each other's websites and work. Flipgrid took on a life of its own at the end of the school year last year. Kids were posting information about their Genius Hour projects. They were giving each other feedback on speeches that they gave. They were encouraging each other. They were helping each other out. And they were doing it through Padlet on the Genius Hour page, but often through Flipgrid. So last year in my classroom, Google Classroom, Google Sites, and Flipgrid really worked together to help personalize learning. And then Pear Deck and Actively Learn are ones that I'm revisiting and tweaking to see how I can bring them in as part of this environment. Thank you so much for your time. If you have any questions, you can find me at the email address below or on Twitter. And here are my references.